Hey amazing artists, today we are going to do the letter G for our Playmobil animal alphabet friends. So, my first animals are my favorite. Giraffe. And then I have a gorilla. Let me get these over here. Oops. I've got a goat. A lot of these animals have babies, which is awesome. A groundhog family and some geese. I don't know how we're all going to fit these on here, but we're going to give it a shot and then paint them in watercolor. So here we go. I'm in my new studio today, my studio in my attic room, and I've got this table that's very wobbly, so we're going to try to draw this stuff. We'll see how it goes. So giraffes are really not easy to draw. So if you'll focus on the form and the shape first, you know, I might trace this because I've done that a couple of times before just to kind of show you. Try to keep your pencil as straight up and down as possible. You're probably not going to get all the lines, but you can get a good start. Okay, I went very, very lightly. So now I have to go in and fill in the blanks. So I'm going to come up here. I have to really study this giraffe's face. Giraffes are one of my favorite, they are my favorite animal, let's be honest. My favorite animal, the animal I always want to see when we go to the zoo. I have a picture of myself somewhere holding out my hand to a giraffe. I was maybe 3 or 4 at the time. So it started pretty young with me and giraffes. I've just always loved how tall they were and how graceful they were, even though they were the most awkward looking animal. With that super, super long neck. Okay, I'm having to hold this in my hand and look at it just because the legs are kind of complicated. And I'm having some trouble. See how I made that way too thick? Let's keep going anyway. I'm gonna see if I can kind of fix it. I should be drawing a lot softer. Actually, I'm not liking this pencil very much. It's not the one I usually use, but that's okay. Yeah, for some reason, maybe it's because I traced it first. It probably is. My leg just got way too thick. This one's kind of thick too. I'm really sorry if the camera's moving. This table is really wobbly. Oh, I think I must have kicked up some dust up here making the new virtual studio classroom because my nose is kind of runny. Okay. I'm having a really hard time holding this giraffe and drawing it. Like I said, giraffes are not easy. And I'm not great at drawing horses, and giraffes, you know, kind of the same, built kind of the same way. So I am struggling. Well, I guess that's not too bad. It doesn't look like that leg is really going the right way. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Keep trying. There, well, that's a little bit better. And now I'll draw this one slightly behind. Well, it's got to curve a little bit. Okay, now that we've done all that complicated stuff, now for the really complicated stuff, all of those little geometric shapes. I'm just kind of lightly sketching these in here, and I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. If you were drawing this with me, no one is going to come behind you and check and see that you drew all of these exactly right. So I wouldn't worry about it. The most important thing is to put an equal distance width in between each of these little funky shapes. That way it looks like a giraffe would look, even if your shapes are not the same as mine. And to try not to do the same shape all the time, because these are definitely variegated and different. Oh, and I didn't really leave room for the mane to kind of come back and put that in a little bit. They have very short bristly manes, not like a horse mane. Very short and very bristly. You've got these horns up here. These broke off of this one a long time ago. This giraffe was one of the first animals that I had in my classroom, and my kids just love it. They loved it. They still love these animals when we get to play with them or draw them or study them. They're just great, really great toys. I mean, the word toy has a connotation that you're not going to be serious, but these are great little scientific models. And hey, why not play at the same time if you can? Play makes learning fun. Okay. I always tried to put a healthy dose of play into my classrooms. It was oftentimes very hard to do because there's a lot of expectations. And so it's hard to meet all those expectations and be serious and think about test scores and be creative at the same time. That's very difficult. Some years I did well, some years I struggled. It's just kind of how it goes. I really like being an art teacher because I feel like I can really focus on the creative side of things now and focus on the play and learning through play, because that's really what art making is. It's using your brain in some of the highest ways you can use it, and that's your imagination and in the art of creating something. It's a very high calling for your brain, and your brain loves it. But it does take practice to get there. Okay, it's hard for me to get there and talk. But I feel like I can't just have a video where I'm not saying anything. That would be awkward. I don't know if you can hear the wind on the camera or not. Maybe not, because it's just my phone camera. But up here, way up in the sky, the wind is blowing. And it's blowing around all the roof eaves and all the little parts of the windows, and it is whistling. Okay, there is our adult giraffe. Woohoo! Let's do the baby. I'm already tired. I'm gonna put the baby up here so we can fit all these other little animals on here. I'm probably gonna trace the baby too, even though I don't know if tracing actually made it easier for me that time. Usually it is a nice shortcut, especially if you know how to trace. You've really got to stand up to trace or to be on a higher chair than your surface. That way it will just work better. All right, it's kind of a little shortcut to get where you need to go. But you know what? If it works, it works. This week we were studying fairy tales in one of my classrooms, and I talked a lot about how the book I was showing the kids was one of my very favorite books as a little girl. And it was a fairy tale book by Dean's Book Company out of England. And it was illustrated by twin sisters Janet and Anne Graham Johnstone. And they absolutely did the most breathtaking illustrations I've still seen to this day. I'm just in awe of their talent. And their skill level is just amazing, especially with horses and historic costumes. It's wonderful. I wanted to draw like that so badly when I was younger, but of course I did not have the skill set that those ladies had. You know, later I would get a lot better, but at the time I was just learning how to draw. And I was so frustrated because I couldn't draw those things, and I would get so upset with myself. And I finally just thought, you know what, I'll just trace them. What's wrong with that? I can still have the same enjoyment as drawing. And you know what is funny? You can learn to draw by tracing. Anything that helps your brain make connections, even if they're not exactly the connections that you need, anything that can be like a stepping stone. For instance, it's kind of like having training wheels on your bicycle. Of course, you still have to learn to ride a bicycle. You know, even when you take the training wheels off, you can still be kind of wobbly. But those training wheels can really help you to get to a place where you do feel confident or, you know, ready to try. So tracing can be kind of like the training wheels. And it was for me. And I traced those pictures of beautiful princesses dancing in their ball gowns. And, oh, the horses, you guys, you know, they were just splendid. And the more I traced, the better I got. And until I was actually able to draw some of those things myself. I was very pleased. And something funny happened that day, too. I was very, very pleased that I was finally able to draw these beautiful pictures. But it's almost like once I was able to draw them, I didn't want to draw them anymore, which I thought was kind of sad. But, you know, what are you going to do? I still draw, and sometimes I do open up that book and try to draw some things out of it. I'm still in awe of their skill, though, because, wow, man. Whew, pretty amazing. I'll try to get it from school and video some of it and do like a walkthrough and show you. I think you'd really, really enjoy it. I'm still using it, though. Should be done with it in a little bit. Okay, there's our mama and our baby, and I'm talking way too much. I'm just blah. So now we have a gorilla, and I think I'm gonna do the gorilla from the side view here, because the front view is hard. The foreshadowing is really hard, and I don't feel like I have the strength to do that today. No hard things today. So let's see. I'm probably just going to do the little sketch. And really I need to start with the animal's rib cage. We talked about that a couple of times. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Kind of want to get this head right too because it's super important. Okay, there we go. Now the rib cage and the body. This one's joints are loose because it's been played with a lot. That's the only thing I don't like about plastic toys and, well, just toys in general, because I guess it happens to wood toys too, is over time their joints start to loosen up and they get real floppy and they won't stand up anymore. That makes me sad. There's a couple of tricks you can do. You can wind plumber's tape around their joints. That works actually really well. That's probably the best trick that I know of. And plumber's tape is just pipe tape, what they put pipes together with so they don't leak. And it's pretty cheap and it works pretty well. And if you don't like it, you can always kind of take it out or pull it out. It does over time kind of work itself out a little bit, but I mean, not unless you're just being really rough with stuff. My least favorite way to tighten up joints on toys is super glue. you can actually put some super glue inside the joint and then move the joint around as it dries. And it gives some resistance to the joint so that, or it makes friction in there. It makes like another layer so that the joint has something to rub on so it will stay tight. The only problem with super glue is it tends to destroy plastic over time. And so it can discolor a lot of plastics. I think it's just the chemicals in the glue composition. And you really don't want your toys destroyed. So if you have a favorite action figure, like a Batman or a Superman, and their joints are really loose, or you have maybe a Ninja Turtle, my cousin had Ninja Turtles growing up, you can use the plumber's tape and it works really well. And you can get it at Walmart. It's fairly cheap. It's just this like white plasticky looking tape, and it's not sticky. It's just like this really thin plastic. Okay, I think I'm rambling. Let's see. Get some eyes. I think, yeah, most of the animals I have today are mammals. The only one that isn't is I have some geese. They're birds. Little ear. His head. This is a silverback gorilla. That's some texture right there. I'm going to be painting these with watercolor today. Okay, now the baby gorilla. It's pretty cute. Man, I really need to hurry. So I'll just draw it really quickly. So I'm going to start with the body. Just a simple outline for the body and rib cage. And its little arms. Its little head. It's got the cutest little ears, you guys. Wait till we get to letter M and you see the monkey I have, the monkey family. I think that they are spider monkeys, which is my favorite monkey. They are so cute. I love spider monkeys. I really don't know why. I just do. I think they're the cutest things in the whole world. Well, maybe baby giraffe is cuter. I'm not sure. Puppies are cute. Yeah, okay, there's lots of cute things. Spider monkeys are cute too. You can probably hear my son. He's playing Roblox with his friend. He's right downstairs, like right underneath us. Usually he's in the living room, but today he's not. Can you hear that wind? I kind of hope you can't. It's kind of creepy. That's okay though. Yeah, I'm in a different place today and I'm enjoying it because it's quiet. I didn't have to wait on anyone so that I could film in my own studio. Pretty sad, huh? That's okay. Things happen. I still have my table down there and everything, and I can still work. So I didn't lose my studio. I just needed a quieter place. And I'll probably still make some videos down there. I'm not saying that I won't, because my tripod can go up and down the stairs pretty easily. I'm just going to leave it this setup up here, though. That's another thing in my studio. I was having to put everything away after I was done filming and then just get it all back out and set it up again, and that's a pain. So, all right, there's the baby. Now, let's do the goat real quick. And this way I won't have to set everything up. I can just come right in and get going. Ooh, I might have made this a little too close. Let's see. We might not have time to paint these today, guys. I feel like this is a really long video. I really don't know if it is, because I haven't looked. But it might be. You guys ever seen goats at the zoo? Usually they have them at the petting zoo because they're fairly tame. But their eyes are creepy. They got these weird, they got eyes that are kind of like a cat's eye with the way their pupil is. I don't really know why they're like that, but yeah. All right. Well, my goat's kind of wide. I'll make it a little bit more realistic. There we go. That's better. Okay, let's put the spots on it. Get rid of that. And make its nose a little bit more curved. All right, well, I keep thinking I'm done and I see more mistakes. That is the trick, you guys, to be able to understand what you did wrong if you did something wrong and fix it. And that does take time and practice. All right, baby goat. Baby goat, do, do, do. Okay, sorry. I think there's a company called Slike or Slike. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but they have animals at Tractor Supply and Atwoods, and they are pretty detailed. They're a lot like these. They don't have movable arms and legs, but that might actually be a bonus since, you know, we just had to talk about how to keep their joints tight. But they're very realistic and probably honestly a lot less expensive than these end up being for me, since I have to oftentimes order little tiny animals and pay postage on them. But yeah, that would be good if you guys got some of those. You could draw those. I used to have kids that every time they would go with their mom or dad would let them buy one, because they're only like $3 to $5 a piece, I think. And so you could start your own collection. I certainly did not buy all these animals at the same time. Oh, no, 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 no. Now, a lot of times I was really lucky when I was on eBay, I would see a lot, an LOT of animals. So just a whole bunch of them, and I was able to buy, you know, a whole bag full of them for like $10 or something. And yeah, I would get doubles and I would get ones I already have, but that was okay. I'm not gonna draw both of these just because we're kind of out of time, but I'll draw the standing one, and this one right here is kind of the same as the baby, so I'll just draw them, the baby one. So tiny. These are little groundhogs. They're so little. And our, on Groundhog Day, Punxsutawney Phil, what a name, huh? Supposedly saw his shadow. That means he got scared back, went back in his hole for 6 more weeks of winter, which turned out to be right before we had the worst ice storm we have had in over 100 years where we live. And we all went through that, guys. I mean, my goodness, it was awful. So, you know, the groundhog thing, it's not scientific. It's just a fun little thing to do to make predictions. Doesn't always mean they're gonna come true. Doesn't always mean that just because he did predict it, we're gonna have some horrible calamity, you know? Oh, I can't get this right. I'm getting tired. I'm gonna have to take a break after this video. All right. Almost done. Let's do a 3/4 view. Tiny funny little ears on these guys. They kind of look like prairie dogs. I have some meerkats that I'll be doing for letter M, and they look a lot like prairie dogs. And actually in my classroom when we were studying Oklahoma animals, we pretended like they were prairie dogs because we didn't have any prairie dogs. And that was a lot of fun. I always wanted to start my own company and just make animals, but someone else did it better than I can. Okay, last one. I'm gonna draw one of these geese. I think I'm just gonna draw the one with the head up like this because I know we've been going on and on and on forever. I think when I have a lot of these bigger complicated animals to do, I probably won't do the painting video with the drawing video. I don't know, maybe I will. I wish you guys could tell me. But I do have to have the comments turned off to do kids YouTube, which is fine because I don't really have time to be moderating comments all day. I've got lots of other things I do. So I don't mind that they're turned off. It actually does alleviate some stress. You don't have to draw every feather. You can just give the idea that there are feathers there. Okay, I think we can paint these pretty quickly. Let's see what we're doing on time. Oh, we're at 26 minutes. Oh, this is a long one. Okay. I think what we're gonna do then is just stop here, call it good, and I'll do a separate painting video. All right, friends, let's just get it done. So let me get my giraffes and we'll paint them first. I've got my water, my brushes, gotta get my paint activated. I'm gonna do a layer of yellow. Oops, that's okay. Oh, and you know what? I did not get the right kind of paper to paint on, so whoops. This is just gonna get all kinds of messy, but that's okay. This is just regular copy paper. You really need construction paper or tag board or cardstock to paint on, or watercolor paper, but that's pretty expensive because it's actually made out of cotton. This paper is just made out of pulp. So it's made out of a different plant. Okay, whoops. Yeah, the problem is when you're tired and you're doing art, you make a whole lot more mistakes, and I am really tired right now. So I'm gonna be having some mistakes. Like I went out of the lines here and here on this tail, places like that. All right, I'm gonna get my brown going. I'm gonna come back and wait for these to dry and then do the other colors. If I don't wait for it to dry, the colors will just bleed into each other and look very, very messy. And I really don't want that. Every time I get more paint, I try to put more water on my brush just to keep it happy and loose and watery and active here on the page. Okay, I think a lot of these animals were brown because the goat was brown. Ooh, I've got to be careful and paint around these white spots. So let me switch to a smaller brush. Okay. So this brush is a little bit easier to do detail with. And this paper bleeds, so I'm gonna have some problems with it going into the white, but you know, that's okay. Maybe I'll remember the right paper next time. I think I've done this a couple of times. I just get excited about making a video and drawing and I don't think about the paper. And I really should. That's a super important part of it. That's what happened if I didn't get water and I got paint. The paint's a lot darker. So if you don't get water and you get paint, you're gonna get a darker color, which you might want. You can always just go over your paint again. Darken it up. You can't put a whole lot of layers on this paper because it would just really fall apart quickly. All right, as you can see, I've made some mistakes and we've got some bleeding, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, let's do our little baby gorilla. So cute. For this little baby gorilla, I'm trying not, just look at his face, okay. Trying not to get a whole bunch of water on this because I have a little bit more control. My brush is drier, and that is a good positive thing. Okay. All right, I'm gonna wait for these to dry a little bit more. Let me do my goose real quick. Just get its little honker and its feetsies. There we go. That was super easy to paint. I like those. Now my little groundhogs. And my dog is snoring. Painting is actually a lot faster than coloring, but it's also a little less controllable. All right, now I'm gonna go back. These aren't quite dry, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the gorilla's face. It was a purple. His ear was purple. And then the baby gorilla's face was just a lighter brown. There we go. Okay, giraffe spots. This is probably gonna bleed. Maybe, maybe not, we'll see. Depends. Yeah, it is, but that's okay. One thing you could do, if you're working with inferior paper like I am, you can always do a watercolor wash for the first part and then go wait for it to completely dry, maybe an hour or so, and go in on top with crayons or colored pencils. And that way you wouldn't have this bleed. And also you could have more control over where you place things and how you're staying in the lines and all that kind of stuff. Well, it's not horrible. I hope that you guys have fun with these videos. I've got some more coming soon. I had to order some, a thing for N because I didn't have anything. I wish they made a narwhal. I've got kind of like a nautilus shell, but it's more like a fossil. So I'll probably have to draw that, and then the other thing I ordered, I'll let it be a surprise. And then I think we're okay until we get to like Q. And there's really nothing for Q, guys. I don't know what we're gonna do. I don't even have a quail. And then X is, oof. X is rough. There just aren't animals that starts with X. Now there's an X-ray fish. So I thought about just hacking one of my animals and painting it like an X-ray fish. So I might do that. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, we are almost done. We're getting close, friends. This was a really long video. And you'll notice that this video is out of order because for some reason I forgot to do G. Don't know why. Oh, and you know what else I forgot? I have guinea pigs that I could have drawn with this. Well, I think we've done enough animals. They look a lot like the groundhogs, they're just smaller. All these spots. I was so glad to see everybody when they came back to school. So many of our students came back from being virtual, and I got to see their faces, and it was just, I'll just remember that day because it was almost like a family reunion with good friends and family members you haven't seen for a long time, and you get to see them again and you're just so happy that they're okay, and you can put your eyes on them and you know they're safe and they're happy to be back at school with you, and it's just so good. I loved it. It was just so magical that day. I'll never forget it. Never forget the first day of school for this school year either. So glad to see everybody. Okay, there we go. We've obviously got some problems with this paper, but you know, we did the best we could with what we had. So there's letter G. Gee, that took a long time.